Now, I started playing rugby when I was 10 years old. You can look at me and go, well, that was a bad idea, because I haven't exactly got the stature for it. But I first dislocated my shoulder when I was 19 years old. We were on rugby tour at the time. We were drifting across in defense. I throw my arm out for a tackle. Guy cuts back on the inside and blows through my shoulder and dislocates it. I hit the ground, shoulder goes back into place. We're on tour, right? So I've got two options now. Go to A&E by myself, 4 hours on my own, or go to the pub with the boys. Second option won out, and then that also then preceded 2 more dislocations in that 6-month period. So 3 dislocations before I decided that I should probably go and get someone to have a look at it. Now, some of you, that clinical mind, will look at me going, what an idiot. But that's what rugby players do, right? And you guys will probably see these people in your clinics. So that led me to my first surgery in 2002. Did the rehab. I actually then lived abroad for a few years. So I got back to rugby. I went abroad for a while. And I worked as a professional scuba diving instructor. Anybody got any ideas what the answer to this simple equation is? Scuba diving instructor, spending a lot of time in a hot country with your shirt off equals bench press. That's what we did a lot of, because we are literally half naked most of the time. Power of 3 represents the number of times we train chest in a week. All right? So we are constantly doing the beach weight work. Turns out, who'd have known it, that's not very good for stopping your shoulder from dislocating, because I came back from Zanzibar, where I was working at the time, got back into rugby, dislocated my shoulder again. Went back to the consultant. Consultant says, do some physio. Did some physio. Nailed it. Went back to playing rugby because he said that I could. Dislocated my shoulder. Second surgery. Right, so now he goes, right, we're going to go in again. Has anyone had a dislocated shoulder? Surgery? Anybody? Yeah? Can't do anything. It's awful, right? So I can't even get into a back squat position or front squat to be able to train lower body. So for an athletic person who's like living and breathing sport, you literally are sidelined for about 6 months before you can do anything which is actually meaningful. So second time round, I'm like, I'm not doing that again. Terrible experience. I don't want to go down this route because, to be fair to me, all of the physio I'd done in the past hadn't got me to where I wanted to be. And the second time I had the surgery, I was doing my strength and conditioning qualifications. I nailed the rehab, A-star. I was like world class at lying on my back and holding a stability ball in my hand, right? And the physio goes, you can go back and play. Well, that's a really big jump from doing that exercise to handing off a guy who weighs 100 kilos. So I decided to take matters into my own hands. And my thought experiment was, you're getting a flavor for the sort of person that I am that doesn't go to hospital with a dislocated shoulder and then decides to learn to handstand, because I thought that would be a good idea to give me some confidence that my shoulder was stable. I'm desperate at this point, right? Because all of my basic rehab stuff, and there was nothing wrong with it, but it hadn't got me to where I wanted to be. Now, I am a bit of an all or nothing person, so over the next few years, I got quite good at handstands. And my starting point, when I put my hands on the ground, the first time I went to go and try and learn to handstand, I didn't know if my shoulder was going to be all right or not. We got to a point where I can do a human flag, so this left arm here on the bottom is the one which is doing all of the stability work in that shape, right? So you're driving it into that position. I'm pushing hard into the rig and I'm pulling that top arm. My dislocation position would typically have been here. I had dislocated with an unloaded bar doing a snatch balance, and I was going to pop it and it slipped it through in that shape. So for me to get from where I was to where I am now was game changing. So what did I learn? And this is where I'm going to kind of tee up how we're going to start to help you guys to get better results for your clients. Now, this was me. I'm a visual person, so I'm going to give you an analogy. My shoulder dislocation had put me in a pretty awful place. Zero confidence. The rehab that I'd done had got me to the top of the cliff, but as I said in the story, I'd found myself back off into the drink again. Now, what I'd done through that experiment around looking for different ways to recondition my shoulder was I'd moved myself away from that cliff edge. And in doing so, I'd given myself a huge amount of bandwidth to be able to play with. When we're talking about sports like rugby or CrossFit, this is the stuff which is important, because those environments are chaos. Right? We don't know what's going to come up on a workout. Does anyone do CrossFit? Yeah, I like a little bit of CrossFit. I'm not going to have a go at it. I like it. But it's carnage, right? You can walk into the box, and it might be someone's put on a board that we're going to do 100 snatches, and we're just going to start just wrenching that bar. That's the sort of, and you might not even know what that workout's going to be until you rock up in a box, right? They keep it as a surprise. to make sure that people turn up. In rugby, it's the same thing. You can't control the variables. You don't want to be going into contact worrying about where you're going to put that shoulder. So we have to get good at managing chaos. And I'd never really been exposed to any level of high amounts of chaos under intensities that were replicable to what it was that I was going to do with my shoulder. I'd actually redislocated the final time, right? So I had my second surgery, went snowboarding, last run of the day, come down, I hit a kicker. It's not a big one, but I hit it really badly and it ended up flying through the air in this position. Hit the ground and slipped it again. So being able to kind of get back to that life was where I wanted to be.